The movie begins with Barry Allen, aka The Flash, going on a time trip running fast enough to activate the Speed Force. Within it, he sees the alternate worlds falling apart when he later wakes up in his lab in ruins. He suspects something must have happened when an apparition briefly appears before him, mumbling something before it disappears. Feeling hungry, he goes to a nearby diner and shockingly finds Iris West as a waitress. Barry strikes up a conversation with her, to which she claims to have landed her dream job with GBS News as a news writer. She hopes to one day make it big and become a reporter. He quickly asks her out for lunch when an old man shows up at the window telling him to get up. Flash later wakes up in the middle of fighting against the android Amazo. Superman arrives and quickly pulls Flash aside when it is about to attack him. Amazo quickly dodges Superman's attack and drains his power. Before he can completely drain him, Flash runs out to pull Superman aside. He throws an armored vehicle at him, but Amazo slices it in half. Superman tells Flash to run, but Flash refuses to leave him behind. As Amazo slowly walks towards them, Green Arrow attacks it with his exploding arrows. Using the smoke as cover, he takes them away in his car. Worried that Superman isn't recovering, Green Arrow suggests they take him to Star Labs to be treated, but Superman refuses and asks him to take them to Wayne Mansion in Gotham. They were surprised to find Bruce Wayne was acquainted with Superman, to which he claims to know both Flash and Green Arrow's identities. Batman runs a test on Superman and is relieved to discover that he is slowly recovering his energy. Reviewing their earlier fight, Batman explains that proximity to the android allows him to absorb and store supernormal energy and claims that destroying it would be challenging. Flash witnesses an old man at the scene whom Batman recognizes as Dr. Anthony Evo. He explained that Ivo graduated from Nairobi University and worked at Metropolis Institute of Technology as an expert in quantum energy mechanics, artificial intelligence, and robotics. Green Arrow claims he tried to hire him, but LexCorp poached him before he could, and Batman discovers that they had reported him missing 3 weeks ago. Checking again on the surveillance, Flash notices Dr. Evo's unusual hand twitching, which he suspects to be a symptom of nerve cell degeneration. When morning came, Superman regained consciousness, slowly recovering his energy. He apologizes for coming in unannounced, but explains how he had nowhere else to go. Superman explains how Flash has been nagging him to form a secret superhero group, which Green Arrow claims is a terrible idea. Although Batman concurs, he claims that it is what they must do to defeat this new threat. They quickly recruited the supermodel Mari McCabe, aka the Vixen, and a private investigator, John Jones, aka the Martian Manhunter. They also tried recruiting Hal Jordan, aka the Green Lantern, but he refuses, claiming to belong to a group called the Green Lantern Corp. Batman claims they already have enough. Superman later held a press conference after forming the Justice League. He tells them how they are thrilled about turning Metropolis Terminal Station into their base of operations. When Flash is about to announce their name to the public, a van is tossed at them. Superman quickly catches it when Amazo shows up and gets close enough to drain him of his power. While trying to save civilians, Flash suddenly hears voices, and Amazo explains how he can now communicate at excessive speeds. Flash asks him why he is attacking them, and Amazo describes how he was designed to prolong and improve human life. Flash is confused, claiming his actions don't align with his statement, especially how his sudden attack endangered civilians. Amazo claims he has received new mission parameters from a new friend to kill anyone who isn't human, later revealed to be Lex Luthor in an armored suit. Lex quickly orders Amazo to drain Superman of his energy, but hesitates, claiming it to be inconsistent with his original programming. Lex quickly overrides him and orders Amazo to attack the Justice League. Batman retreats with a weakened Superman and proposes to attack it with an airstrike, much to the other's objections. He explains that taking out the android before it becomes too powerful is their best option. Flash quickly gets a hint and promptly runs to find Dr. Evo. Flash returns to LexCorp, where he finds Dr. Evo in a holding cell. Evo claims they need to see his android, which has fallen under Luthor's control. Flash suspects he must have an aging disease, considering he looks too old for a 39-year-old. Flash worries that he can't take him there with his powers, considering his poor condition. After learning about his condition, Evo explained how he worked for LexCorp on quantum energy absorption technology, hoping to find a way to extend his life. Since Lex had access to alien technology, they created the parasite creature that can siphon energy from the metahumans. He was led to believe that they could then use it to supercharge the immune system of normal human beings. In the culmination of all their research, he created an indestructible android to carry out their doing. Evo claims he programmed the AI's neural networks to ensure he doesn't hurt people, but Lex seems to have overridden his programming. They struggle to keep them both distracted when Batman claims his contingency plan is almost ready, but Luthor shoots his drone before it can bomb the place. Lex claims to have already predicted what Batman was planning. Flash and Evo later arrive, and the Good Doctor tries to convince Amazo to stand down, having been manipulated by Luthor. Luthor overrides his order, but Evo claims that there is one order that takes priority and points out that he is dying. He then orders Amazo to release the meta-energy he collected to him, which quickly takes his life, shocking the android. Batman then helped Amazo realize that Luthor likely infected Evo with a rare disease as motivation to create him, which angered Amazo. He quickly took his anger out on Luthor, but when he was about to finish him off, Flash stopped him, claiming that Evo wouldn't want him killed. With the android depowered, Amazo returns their energy before shutting down. Suddenly, Flash winds up in a ruined central city, which he suspects is an alternate world, Earth 3. He later finds another speedster robbing a bank, which he tries to stop. The evil Flash explains how, with the crime syndicate becoming the government, what he is doing isn't even considering stealing. Suddenly, the rest of the crime syndicate shows up, to which he introduces Power Ring, Owlman, Superwoman, and Ultraman. In contrast, he introduces himself as Johnny Quick. After introductions, they quickly try to catch the Flash and eventually capture him, to which Superwoman grabs him by the neck. Captured, Flash is taken to the Hall of Crime to be interrogated. He explains how he comes from an alternate Earth, but when they refuse to listen to him, Superwoman uses her lasso of submission. Discovering that he is telling the truth, Ultraman is thrilled after confirming the existence of alternate Earths, to which they can conquer and fight other super beings. When he demands that Flash take them to where he came from, Johnny worries that he can't, given they both share the same speed force. He tries to convince them to let him live when suddenly, the old homeless guy shows up and stops the crime syndicate with his magic, later revealed to be an old John Constantine. When Ultraman was about to attack him, John showed footage of the world going to ruin. Back on Earth, massive thunderstorms destroy buildings all around the world. Flash claims he needs help, but John explains that this world is dead. When he recognizes him, John claims he walks in all the worlds doomed to die as punishment, to which he can no longer remember but does remember that Flash shares the same guilt. As the antimatter wave hits their world, the crime syndicate tries to stop it, but even they are powerless against it. Barry later flashes back to the day of his wedding, which John Stewart, another version of the Green Lantern, helped him prepare for. Barry insists on seeing Iris and explains how when he returned from Earth 3, he brought with him all the Speed Force, and his whole life flashed before him. He had since then been seeing flashbacks of key moments in his life, but is certain that something apocalyptic is about to happen on the day of their marriage. With Vixen presiding over their wedding, a portal suddenly opens and Harbinger appears. She claims their world is in danger and needs Flash to stop it. He later finds himself on a space station with other known heroes across alternate Earths. One of the heroes that the Harbinger brought back with her was Dr. Kimio Hoshi, who was later given the powers of the criminal Dr. Light. Harbinger then meets with Dawnstar, who doesn't recognize her until she is revealed to be Kara Zor-El. While everyone else gets acquainted with each other, Monitor, a higher celestial being, appears before them, claiming to be a member of an ancient race who lived to observe and document every event occurring in the known worlds. Only when they discovered a dire threat did he intervene after threatening all realities with utter destruction. He explains that a massive antimatter wave is working its way to different worlds, decimating everything in its path. Entire realities have already been erased, and hope that together they could find a way to stop this disaster and save their worlds. When the others start questioning, Batman claims this is not something they can punch their way through and calls the attention of geniuses Michael Holt, aka Mr. Terrific, Kimio Hoshi, aka Dr. Light, and Ted Kord, aka the Blue Beetle. He also mentions Shayera Hole, aka Hawkgirl, Diana of Themyscira, aka Wonder Woman, and King Arthur, aka Aquaman, each knowledgeable in extra-Terran technology. The team quickly brainstormed ideas to stop the antimatter wave. Although the shields they use on Atlantis aren't sufficient to work against the antimatter wave, Blue Beetle claims the theory is the same. Dr. Light worries that they'd need the energy from 1,000 exploding suns even to put shields around half of the remaining worlds. Wonder Woman tries to calm them down when Flash arrives and offers them coffee to keep them calm and working. Monitor wonders if Harbinger brought Flash to get the ingredients from all those worlds, but he explains he used his super speed to vibrate so quickly that he could pass through anything, even through dimensions. Monitor got a hint when Flash talked and suspects they could create a massive vibrational generator on each Earth. Blue Beetle claims it would work as a colossal cosmic tuning fork, and should they manage to have even one of them working, the vibrations would reverberate through all of them. Wonder Woman worries that even with a super-powered construction team, they would not finish it in time. But Mr. Terrific claims they have Batman for that. With a plan in place, the heroes quickly start construction, but while unfinished, the wave appears in their world, much to everyone's shock. They claim that a wave, any wave, could not accelerate, to which Batman suspects that it became aware of their plans and adjusted, much to Monitor's objection that it is a sentient being. With the wave fast approaching, Flash asks the older John what to do, and he suggests running to Iris. He quickly saves her when she is about to be crushed by falling debris. Barry Allen and Iris West have lived a long life together in an alternate universe, albeit with everything else in slow motion. Older Barry goes to his basement to power up Amazo with enough speed force so they can finish plans for the tower. When he finally finds long power cables, as Amazo suggested, Iris continues working until her dying breath, much to Barry's grief. Regardless, he carries on and completes the tower. With insufficient power, Barry gives the last of his strength to give Amazo enough power to charge the tower, which coincidentally powers all the others in different worlds. When they thought it was over, the wave eventually dissipated, and everyone celebrated their victory. Spectre later meets with Monitor, who congratulates him for his experiment going as well as he hoped it would. With the world still intact, older Barry celebrates their victory, but is shocked to find Amazo destroyed. Spectre appears before him and claims that Amazo knew he helped humanity in his last moments, while introducing himself as the Wrath of God. He claims that Flash had to bear some responsibility for what happened, but he had already paid a heavy price. Suddenly, Spectre disappears and is drawn back to the Speed Force, where older Barry warns his younger self of things to come, which is exactly how the movie began. Suddenly, older Barry appears before two men and urges them to stop it. While everyone at the satellite rejoices, people suddenly start feeling sick and slowly disappear. Kara witnessed Dawnstar disappear before her, to which she called for Brainiac 5, but he was also slowly disappearing. We begin part 2 with Batman chasing Joker as he tries to attack the Quantum Tower. He finally catches up to him, but discovers that it was Commissioner Gordon infected by the Joker venom. He wanted to save him, but he died in his arms before he could give him the antidote. Suddenly, a tank breaks down a door, which is revealed to be the real Joker. Joker orders Killer Croc and Solomon Grundy to distract Batman while he takes down the tower. Batman warns him that destroying the tower would consequently cause this Earth's destruction, but Joker disregards it. When he is about to shoot the tower, a grenade falls inside the tank, to which Robin and Huntress show up. They confront Joker while Boy Robin, Batgirl, and Batman Beyond handle Solomon Grundy and Killer Croc. Despite offering their help, Batman seemed hesitant in their skills, so he took down all the villains by himself. Robin explains how the Justice Society was assigned to search for the Flash, to which Batman claims he was the one who gave them the assignment while revealing that he is from the now destroyed Earth 3. Monitor, the ancestral being, continues his job inside his space station when he comes across an escape pod believed to be a piece of debris from the then-destroyed Krypton. They later find a teenage Kara Zor-El, who appears to be suffocating from the malfunctioning escape pod. The Monitor asks his AI satellite to remove it as it seems to be blocking the way. Instead of removing it, Satellite brings it inside the ship, much to Monitor's displeasure. Satellite claims he need not worry about it as she would soon die from radiation exposure. Once a lifeless shell due to the horrific shock of her entire race being wiped out, Kara slowly recovers her sanity. Monitor explains they are on a Monitor satellite, a quasi-sentient craft outside of normal time-space intended to facilitate observation and documentation of celestial events. Given her reactions, Kara seemed to have lost her memory. Monitor introduced himself to be Mar Novu, born from an ancient race tasked with the tedious job of observing and recording all events in the universe. Kora asked if she could go home, but Monitor decided to take her in and train her to become a Monitor like himself. One time, she finds her escape pod and quickly regains her memories, but she is horrified to discover the shocking truth that Krypton has been destroyed. Having learned the dreadful truth, Kara confronts Monitor, who reveals that she isn't the last Kryptonian, as Kal-El, her cousin, survived and lives on Earth. He explains how they are not allowed to interfere, but Kara insists, claiming to be the opposite of him, and refuses to stand by and do nothing. She later leaves the satellite on her ship to search for her cousin, Kal-El. Years have passed, and Kara has reunited with Kal-El and befriends the Legion. Suddenly, Satellite abducts her to meet with Monitor, who explains how he knows that Superman and Batman are missing. Although the other Monitors refuse to take action, he refuses to do nothing and convinces Kara to agree to his plan. His plan begins with sharing his life force with her, which he warns could be dangerous, and she later becomes the Harbinger. Meanwhile, Psycho Pirate has captured the elderly Kent Nelson, aka Dr. Fate, and interrogates him. When he refused to talk, Psycho Pirate told him his origin story as Charles Halstead. Although a seemingly ordinary boy, his childhood is far from normal as he witnesses his parents try to kill each other. He reveals how he awakened to his powers at a young age. His parents later sent him to a boarding school in Bavaria, where he continued to suffer at the hands of bullies. The relentless abuse that he constantly suffered helped him to control his powers. Little by little, he took over the entire school, bending it to his whims. One time, Charles came across the fascist Third Reich, to which he manipulated the Kriegsmarine to become the captain of a merchant raider. These German ships are disguised to look like freighters to lure unsuspecting Allied ships to steal from them. Drifting in the open waters, he thought it was death, but Atlanteans suddenly emerged from the sea when he used his powers. He quickly mind-controlled them to take him to Atlantis, where he brainwashed and manipulated Arthur, the king of Atlantis, to do his bidding. Charles is about to leave as his prisoner continues to be unresponsive when Nelson suddenly starts speaking. Charles tried to use his powers on him, but it was ineffective, to which Nelson explains that there are just too many of him in all different realities. He describes how he wanted to give him the ability to travel to other realities, explaining that Charles still has a role in the crisis to come. He later finds himself in another reality where he is the president and the public has rioted outside the White House. Suddenly, a portal opens, and Harbinger informs him that she is gathering Earth's greatest champions to prevent the destruction of all worlds. Charles refuses, but Harbinger claims she knows he can travel to different realities and try to remake them in his image, but this always ends in failure. When he tries to use his powers, nothing happens, to which Harbinger explains that the neighboring world has ceased to exist and, soon, everything else. Meanwhile, Superman from Earth 2 has been keeping track of the antimatter wave and reports back to command. With the wave headed for Earth 18, Mr. Terrific coordinates with the others to activate the quantum towers to phase through it. Elsewhere, an alternate Superman reports that the tower in Earth 17 has overheated again and requests backup, to which Monitor sends the distracted Kara. Later, Kamandi is sent back to the apocalyptic Earth AD. Superman explains that he is the only person who knows about post-Great Disaster Earth, which needs replacing a few relays on the tower. Worried that he is alone, Superman explains he has sent a specialist over, to which Kamandi finds Solivar of Gorilla City on Earth 1. Back on the satellite, Charles screams in agony, unable to continue broadcasting calm and confidence across different realities, keeping the teams calm and collected. Monitor explains that only he can do the job, or there will be panic and chaos on all surviving Earths. Charles claims that he has reached the limits of his power and suggests Monitor provide even just a fraction of his unfathomable power. When he thought he'd refuse, Monitor explains that trust was the beginning of wisdom for him, implying that Kara had a hand in his epiphany. Later, Blue Beetle confronts him, who claims that his deception doesn't fool him. Suddenly, Charles feels excruciating pain, to which he subconsciously activates his powers and teleports elsewhere. He later finds himself in complete darkness, and a bright light strikes a conversation with him. Charles nicknames him the Anti-Monitor due to his deep displeasure with Monitor. He asks him why he is helping Monitor, to which Charles explains that he doesn't have a choice, or that he will disappear from existence. Anti-Monitor convinces him to go against Monitor and create a universe where people like him survive. Later, Charles runs into Kara at the satellite, and he uses his powers to make her vengeful after having lost her Legion friends in front of her. Back at command, Mr. Terrific goes over their findings on the antimatter wave. What they originally considered a one-time threat turns out to be an ongoing storm of multiple waves that change in speed and intensity and arrive without any predictable patterns. They suspect that this is not some natural phenomenon, but that someone is intentionally attacking them. Wonder Woman claims that although they can save the surviving Earth sooner or later, one of these towers, if not all, will eventually fail, and everything ends. Blue Beetle explains that with the mastermind a mystery, they have no way of attacking the source, leaving with the only other option to escape. Mr. Terrific claims that nowhere may very well be the answer, and explains that there is a theoretical dimension called the nether space. He suggests using the towers to broadcast the beams to move all the surviving Earths. Monitor claims it was a notable idea, but the energy needed to do it is nearly incalculable. Later, both Hawkman and Vixen reports confirmed sightings of the wave, which they described as more intense than the last one. Monitor orders them to activate all towers in preparation for the incoming wave. As the waves were about to hit, Batman reported that it wasn't a wave, but a blinding light passed through them. Suddenly, reports across all Earths show that a shadow army has emerged from the darkness, much to their dismay. Superman tried to attack it, but it was intangible, and physical attacks were ineffective against it. Furious, Superman uses his heat vision, which destroys one, but the command informs him that the shadow army is a single creature. Monitor was thrilled to discover that a single sentient being is simultaneously attacking all realities. Hippolyta, Queen of the Amazons of Earth-46, requests backup, unable to stop the Shadow Army's advance on the tower. Despite coming from a different Earth, Wonder Woman needed to help her Amazon sisters. When they learn of the enemy's weakness, Wonder Woman uses her lasso against the Shadow Demons. Back on Earth-1, Dr. Light returns to help them protect the tower alongside Superman, Green Lantern, and Heatwave. Kara shows up to help, but seems distracted from her earlier encounter with Charles. She recklessly charged at the enemy when its darkness swallowed her up. When she wakes up, she returns to her room to find her mother seemingly alive. Suddenly, her mother claims that she is dead, to which Brainiac 5 and Dawnstar show up. They claim that they are not dead as they were never alive to begin with, as their existences were erased. Suddenly, meteors fall from the sky, and she finds herself back on the satellite with Charles, who tricks her into thinking that Monitor is responsible for Krypton destruction. Charles explains that the world can be remade and save everyone she loves, but to do so, she has to stand up to Monitor, her adoptive father. Despite their efforts, Wonder Woman and the Amazons struggled to fend off the overwhelming Shadow Army on Earth-46. Wonder Woman suggests releasing the men to fight for them, but Queen Hippolyta refuses and points her sword at her, refusing to rely on them. They were eventually overwhelmed, and everyone on Earth-46, including Wonder Woman, was erased from existence. Kamandi and Solivar were also attacked by the Shadow Army, to which Solivar suffered a fatal wound before they ultimately wiped them out, using his weapon to create a bright shockwave. On Earth-1, Batman and the Bat family fend off the Shadow Demons, but Batman insists that he works alone. Irked by his attitude, Huntress speaks up, which later results in them fighting against each other because of their different opinions. It turns out that Charles used his powers to plant hate, fear, and distrust among the heroes across all realities, turning all battlefields into chaos. Batman loses focus and falls to the ground. Suddenly, the Shadow Demons surrounded him and pulled him away. The Bat family quickly stopped fighting and defeated the Shadow Demons, who retreated, to which Batman suspects have changed their target. Meanwhile, on Earth-2, Green Lantern and Dr. Light are pitted against each other, unaware that they are being manipulated. Green Lantern was knocked out of the brainwashing, and he knocked out Dr. Light, who was still intent on attacking. Suddenly, an elderly John Constantine shows up, whom Green Lantern recognizes as the same person who said all the worlds are ending. He wonders if he had a hand in the attacks, but when John tries to walk out, Green Lantern uses his powers to stop him. John easily broke through the wall, much to Green Lantern's shock. As their duel continues, John is suddenly reminded of his name and quickly regains some of his memories. Realizing that John is not the enemy, they both focus on the Shadow Army slowly approaching the tower while Superman is still fighting against the heat wave. Green Lantern then pulled out his battery and charged it to wipe out the Shadow Demons. Seeing Charles using his powers for chaos, Monitor confronts him, but he leaves just before the antimatter waves wipe out the surviving Earths, much to Monitor's confusion. As the waves simultaneously attack their worlds, Batman and John Constantine activate the towers at the last minute to save Earth-1 and 2. While worlds are erased before his eyes, Spectre shows up before him, and he comforts Monitor in feeling hopeless against a power he can't get rid of. Spectre explains that Monitor, who has gathered so much galactic energy, will soon find out that much will also be required of him, which he describes as paying for his actions. Monitor finally realizes that he was all wrong and blames himself for all the reality's endings. He claims he would give anything to save them, but Spectre doubts his determination when an enraged Kara shows up on the satellite. Kara furiously attacks him with a full-powered heat vision which not even Monitor could withstand. Kara tears up regretfully, unaware of what she had done, as soon as she regains consciousness after her desire for vengeance fades out. Meanwhile, Batman suspects that the Shadow Demons are converging on Earth-1, to which he informs the command to bring all heroes for support. The Shadow Army combined to become one giant shadow creature. Superman claims its weakness to light should still be the same, and he then leads the others in battle. When they fail to defeat it, it quickly creates armor to protect itself from their attacks, adapting to the fight. It then charged up for a devastating attack, and the heroes could do nothing but fear for their lives. Thank you for watching. Check out these other videos and make sure to subscribe and tap the bell to be notified about our latest videos. See you next time.